taking a couple of minutes and being with us.
No problem, man. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, it's we really probably never met until a few weeks ago when we got to spend some time in California.
Yeah, because Dallas, we met in Dallas, but it was like just a short, like, hey, you.
Yeah, yeah, not really. Yeah. Oh, I guess we did. I think we were at a sports bar, uh, for a couple minutes before I got pulled away. Um, I always like to start. I mean, this is building your business, for gosh sakes. What drew you into being a home inspector?
So I actually was in mortgages and I did mortgages for, I think, 4 years. And that was my first real estate job. Before that, I was in cable installs and I was a master installer where I hung entertainment centers, TVs. I did installs for like New York Yankee players and stuff, and I really enjoyed that type of work. But I was chasing more money, and I got into mortgages and realized I absolutely hated sitting at a computer, like with an absolute passion. And through mortgages, I met a home inspector, and he was like, "Well, I need another guy. You want to come ride with me and see what it's like?" And that was 6.5 years ago. I rode with him for 1 week, put my 2 weeks notice in the week after that, and I was a home inspector maybe 3 weeks after that.
And you've been doing or performing, I say doing, you've always performed commercial inspections, in tangent with doing home inspections, correct?
Pretty much, I got my commercial certification through Internachi when they were offering it. I think 4.5 years ago. I had a memory pop up on my Facebook, and it was like, "Hey guys, I'm doing my first commercial inspection." And I think it was about 4.5 years ago.
So, did you do it just like you did home inspections, or did you do it like it was, something different?
And full transparency, it was just like a home inspection, and it was very much a fake it till I make it kind of deal. 'Cause when I
Excellent.
went through the Internachi training, which I'm a huge fan of Internachi. I'm a member. Their commercial training, when I finished it, I was like, I kind of feel like I'm right where I was before I started.
Yeah, yeah, uh, you just sat through our 3-day introduction to commercial, property inspections in Los Angeles. And what I got a tremendous kick out of, Shawn, is the very next week after you were there, you did a true commercial building. How was your mindset different after taking the class than it was before you took the class?
It was a complete 180. Like there couldn't have been anything like me doing my commercials. I've done two commercial buildings since that class, and I have another one on Monday.
All
I'm
right.
going into all of these with a completely different mindset now. Even my reports are different. How I communicate with my clients is different. The inspection part, I wouldn't say is completely different, other than the fact that I have way more confidence now.
How so is your communication different?
Okay, so I was communicating with these investors, the same way I talk to people who are buying homes, who are sometimes first time home buyers or, people who just aren't connected to real estate. And in your class, you really hammered the point that you're talking to educated people. And when I upped my price based on what I learned, and I quoted more accurately. My client didn't even blink an eye. And when I communicated with him on what his needs were and what I'm willing, what I'm doing through the ComSop, he was I was talking to an equal rather than educating someone who doesn't know anything about anything. And so it just yeah,
That's neat to hear.
yeah, oh, it felt great. It was completely different from every conversation I had before the class.
I this is gonna sound terrible, but it's like putting big boy pants on,
Mhm.
right? It's it's like everything has changed in my demeanor, my conversation, and my presentation.
Absolutely. And in fact, the one I'm doing on Monday, I did more what you taught in class. I did not give them a quote on the phone. I asked them for what they're looking for, what their concerns are, what building are they currently in, and what are they hoping to accomplish with their new building. And then I said, I'm going to go do some research, put some quotes together based on what your needs are, and I'm going to get back to you tomorrow. I've never done that before, like it, and it felt so professional because I actually did. Like I looked up the history of the building, I looked up permits, I went on Google Maps, I looked on Google Maps. Like this is the most prepared I've ever been for an inspection, and I'll be able to quote very accurately based on the work I'm gonna be providing.
And that process is reproducible now on every inspection, correct?
Absolutely. Yep.
Now, uh, we're talking, and earlier we talked with my new mutual friend of yours. You and Brent have been friends for a while, and we're doing this as a tandem conversation. You've been in the creation world for internet content for a little while now. How do you see being a creator helping you with your commercial world?
I think I think it's gonna help bridge the gap between inspectors and commercial real estate brokers because they're in a whole nother we're connecting to residential realtors and the commercial realtors that I've been connecting with in the past few weeks. Um, one of them directly through my content, and it was because my
Excellent.
content was directly centered around the retail inspection that I did last week, and I'm able to talk more intelligently about the commercial process. I talked about um the safety items, the parking lot. Like I was able to add more things into my content that I don't normally do. Must have struck something with this commercial realtor because he reached out to me directly immediately after he saw my video. And then I had a guy call me today. He's a banker for commercial, and he saw one of my videos. So he called me and he's like, "Hey, I got all these questions." So he wants to sit down with me and have a cup of coffee to see how I can help his clients when he's lending.
Yes. Well, what many don't understand is that commercial loans, while they might be a 30-year note, right? They're renegotiated every 5 years.
Hmm.
So every 5 years, you gotta go back to sit with your banker. And so, boy, what a contact you made. And and if you can, it's like doing new realtor seminars. If you can grow your referral base from seed, they're a lot more likely to be with you for the long term.
Absolutely. Yep. Yep.
I love that. Um, are you looking to in your content creation, Shawn? Are you looking to specifically start designing just commercial content now?
So I one of the most exciting things that happened to me during your class, and it was actually while you were teaching, is I went on a brain dump because you kind of unlock some doors in my head that I didn't, sometimes you don't know what you don't know. And you connected dots in my head, and it was funny because Brent kept elbowing me because he was sitting next to me, like, pay attention, but I couldn't help it. I had all these ideas. I think I filled out 7 pages in my notebook, and I've already put them into play. Um, and that's tying into what you're saying is I'm rebranding. And so I'm going to be running two completely different brands now. I'm going to be running my home inspection content, which can be a lot more entertaining and loose and casual, and I can clown around and be silly. And then I'm going to have a completely different approach to my commercial content where I'm always going to be somewhat silly because it's my personality, but I'm going to put more like, hey, I'm a boss and I know what I'm talking about. And, this is why you need me. This is why you should not buy, this $1 million building without me. And so it's going to be
Yep.
more,
And bosses with all big letters
yeah.
too.
So I'm going to have like different logos, different names. I've completely rebranded my entire approach.
It's funny when you talk about brain dump. I think of the musician Willie Nelson, who gosh, I guess I don't even have to say the musician Willie Nelson because there's I don't think there's a soul in the world that doesn't know who he is. He used to talk about whenever he had a block, he couldn't write or couldn't do something or something was stuck, he'd go take a drive in his truck because as you're driving, you're concentrating on the gas pedal and the steering wheel and the road, and your brain detaches and all of a sudden you get
Mhm.
ideas. Or I'll call them a shaving moment, or I was taking a shower and this popped in my head because when you're doing this or you're doing this, you're not thinking any
Mhm.
longer. And, and so maybe that cathartic opportunity of 2.5 days of sitting in a hotel taking notes was able to divorce your
Yeah,
brain.
yeah. Because what I learned from your class was I was teaching commercial. I was approaching commercial like another service. So I do mold, I do, foundation certifications, I do commercial. It's just another service that I offer.
It's an
Yeah,
and.
exactly. And then I realized I need to completely break that. And so, like the guy that I'm talking to for my Monday inspection, my emails do not say anything about home inspection. I changed my domain. I made new shirts. I got hats on the way, and
Awesome.
it's a completely different brand. And so it just like, that idea all came together when I was listening to you, and I was like, I need to not be a home inspector when I'm approaching these big commercial, investors. Like I didn't think about that. And then you said in your class, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I think my email literally says Mizell home inspections. No one's gonna take me seriously.
Yep. And I would bet after this conversation, your home inspections will be worn with your hat backwards, and your commercial inspections will be worn with your hat
You
forwards.
got it. Yep.
And that will be that I am changing. I am now. And that the hat analogy is my favorite analogy to use, and I've used it for again. I'm a few generations older, but I've used it for years. Of as soon as you change your hat, you're a new person. You wear Firefighters have a specific hat. Police officers have a specific hat. Bus drivers have a specific hat. Inspectors wear a specific hat. And as soon as you change hats, when you were a little kid in preschool, they had a hat box for that reason. I love it.
Yeah,
When you said I bought new hats, I'm going, I see that in my head. Um, when we went through the class and and had all that stuff going on for the 3-day introduction class, how did you feel like the content was it too high, too low, just right?
I'm just being completely honest. When I
Yeah.
sit down, like if I go sometimes like today, I had 3 full inspections today. I had no time to eat. So as of right now, I have not had anything to eat. And when I go out to dinner with my wife tonight and they put a ribeye in front of me and I cannot wait to devour that steak, that's how I felt in the class. Because you were hitting every single like you don't like I think it's the transition from home inspector to commercial inspector. You know what your questions are. You know what you're weak on. You know what you're kind of BSing when you're on site, your knowledge on things and things that you have to sit there and research because you've never seen these huge pieces of equipment. You've never seen these electrical panels before that has a panel inside of a panel that weighs 300 pounds. You don't know what's going on. And when you started giving that knowledge of things that I've already come across in the field, and I really wasn't 100% sure what I was doing, and I had to sit there and research things and Google things. You were talking about all of the things in those 3 days. Because when you started talking about the panels and how certain panels the Comsoft, we should not be taking them off because they got 15 screws on them and it weighs 50 pounds. I was sitting there laughing to myself because I came across one of those at a laundromat, and I'm sitting there trying to take the dang thing off, and I got it off. It took me forever, and I finally got it off, and it's so heavy, I'm, like, sitting there holding this thing going, "What did I just do?" And then I took it off, and there's another panel, and I'm like, and I don't even have the right tools to take it off. And I'm looking around, see if anyone's watching me because I'm fumbling with this thing. And then when you were like, that's not how we inspect those. This is how we inspect those. I'm like, oh man, I wish I wish I'd known that 6 months ago. But that's how I felt with everything you were touching on, because I can know so much about home inspections. Only half of that transitions to commercial buildings. You got to start over with the other half. And the class had the other half of that knowledge that I was missing.
A a portion of the class involved the mock inspection, and I wanted to touch on that. So, uh, we approached this 100-year-old house of worship. It was around 9,000 square foot. What was your feeling when we first pulled into the parking lot?
Well, honestly, being a seasoned inspector, it was anticipation. Like, it's hard to sit there. I don't like Most of us are leaders in our own world. So like I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't have tools, I don't have a ladder. I want to like climb on this thing and start pulling it apart, but then sitting back and watching how you methodically move through the building, rationalize on how you're looking on things, how, not every tiny little crack in the stucco needs to be thrown in a report on a commercial building. There's certain things you got to take into consideration that they already know, they're going to already approach. They already have guys that take care of this. This is what they care about. Like, so paying attention to those things was the gravy for me that I really needed to hear, because I can work through a building and spend all day there and turn out a really thorough report, and my commercial client is going to look at my report and be like, I don't need half this, you know? And so watching you go through it and seeing you being like, this building would take me 2.5 hours and another hour right in the report. I'm like, okay. So hearing you say that, I'm like, there is no way you can do this in 2.5 hours. There's no way. And so then watching you go through it and explain how you would move through it, what you would do, what you would remember, and what you would report on, I was just kind of sitting there, just like waiting, just watching that. So it was kind of nice, because instead of the blind leading the blind, which is what it's like out here when me and my other home inspector buddies are doing commercial jobs, and we're kind of no one really knows what we're doing, so we're all just kind of blindly leading each other. Watching someone who's been doing it for, what'd you say, 25 years or something, it's like
So something like that.
it's finally you can watch someone who knows what they're talking about.
So you feel like it provided you with a more approachable format or plan?
Approachable is definitely, I okay, so I would turn away kitchens and medium to larger size commercial buildings before, because I also don't want to do a disservice to my clients. I'm comfortable with small
Sure.
residential or medium residential without any exhaust ventilation. I really didn't know how to inspect kitchens. And so I even turned a few commercial jobs away because I don't want that guy to pay me and I'm not ready for the job. After the class, I'm ready to go tackle any commercial building with confidence. Like, nothing intimidates me now.
Excellent. Excellent. Um, Not to put you on the spot, but what was so I hear what you're saying, and I don't know if this is a rehash because um, of what we've already talked about. What would be your biggest piece of advice that you would give somebody that's sitting on the fence?
Sitting on the fence, the biggest piece of advice that I can give is, for your own life, like for the own quality of life, especially if you have kids and you're married and you have other ambitions in life, it doesn't make sense to not implement commercial, because you can do three residential inspections a day, stay up all night doing reports, and work 80, 90 hours a week until you're so burned out that you hate inspecting. Or you can take the step to learn commercial and start making thousands instead of making hundreds, and being able to improve your quality of life is one half of it, because that's my struggle. Like, I'm just like, I get so burned out with home inspections, and the thought of being able to do half as many inspections and make more money, it's a no-brainer. And then the other side of it is, if you enjoy inspecting, there's only so many residential homes you can look at before you just start getting monotonous. And when I go to a commercial building, it's like I get so excited because I haven't seen this before. I haven't climbed up in a steeple before. I was doing a commercial building a few weeks ago, and it was like it was a metal cylinder, like half cylinder, and it was like the most craziest building I've ever been in before. And I was like, this is so cool, you know? So it kind of refreshes your excitement of inspecting. So that's those are
Was it an old Quonset hut? What is it, an old Quonset hut?
what's that?
Like an old Quonset hut where it was like a giant corrugated half
Yes,
building?
yes. Yep. And I had to sit there and do so much Googling because it was before it was before your class. And I was up there like they had 8 condensers and 7
Uh-huh.
electrical panels. And but even though it was intimidating, it still it keeps you interested in what you're doing because it's new and exciting. I don't see any downside to and then the other thing is, and I don't wanna use negative reasons, but the we all every home inspector knows the residential clients can make this job miserable. Like, I have had people who put I've had panic attacks because of how horrible clients are. Realtors, "Where's my report? Where's my report? Where's my report? I have 2 days. Where's my report?" Like, commercial is so much easy. This guy, the commercial building I just did, he's like, "Oh, I got a 30-day inspection window, so just take your time, get out there. I need the report in a week or 2." I'm like, and then when it's time to pay, paid, like, right away.
Uh, I appreciate that. I don't get to talk about this very often, but to people, but you and I share a very common hobby, is we both enjoy
Oh,
video
yes.
games. And and, uh, and when we were together, talking one evening, we both shared the exact same observations that I spend more time as I'm playing a video game looking at
Mhm.
textures, not the playing of the game going, "That is so accurate. I am willing to inspect this building and not play this first person shooter game that I was playing because this is a way more fun."
Oh, yeah, especially in Call of Duty is where I really get sucked into it. I don't know what modelers they hired for their 3D modeling, but, like, I'm looking at the water heater, and it's got, like, a pressure relief valve, it's got a discharge pipe, it's got a gas, service line with exhaust lines going through the roof. I'm like, "Who did this much research?" Like, I'm sitting there, like, looking at it, and all of a sudden, like, "Bop, bop, bop," and I was dead. I'm like, "Wait a sec, I was looking at the water heater, that is not cool."
And the other night I think I was playing Battlefield, and, I'm in a a a a bunker slash tunnel where, or a hangar, and there's some generators, and there was a full um main service box with transformers and distribution and the conduit running from it. And you're right. And I just sat there for a minute, just literally staring at it, going, okay, I look at this, and this is what I take a picture of. And so instead of me being the home inspector going to other friends' houses that they hate because I'm busy looking at their cracks or their ductwork that's not put in properly. Now I'm looking at video games going, I'm an inspector here now.
Yeah, so this actually happened to me last night. I'm gonna really show my nerd card now. But I've been playing World of Warcraft for like 15 years, and they just came out with a new thing where you can build your own houses, and you can move things around and customize it. And it was funny because my wife was helping me. And on the inside, I put the fireplace on the left, and then when I came outside, you can move the chimney stack around. And she's like, "Oh, it looks so much better on the right." I'm like, "No, but the fireplace is on the left. It has to be on the left. Like, it can't be on the right." She's like, "No one's gonna care." I'm like, "I care."
I do. I do.
Mhm.
Yep. I get that. I'm in the middle of some projects, and yeah, it's some people in my household want something over here, and I'm like, no, it can't go over there. No, it's really, it needs to go there. No, if it goes over there, then this happens, and it'll make me insane the rest of my life.
Yep.
Um, so 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 having gone through this, and this beginning of your transformation into truly making a separation and not an and. in your business, where do you see the commercial industry heading in the next 5, 10 years, especially when we start thinking about technology and the approach?
Feel like the importance is gonna catch up when I'm talking to commercial, agents. Like, some of them didn't even know that that you could use inspectors. They thought you still had to hire HVAC guys, electricians, and they're like, "Oh, you guys inspectors do this too?" And I've had that response a few times now. So I think the ed just like what happened with home inspections, were like, kind of like, it started to get some momentum in the '90s and 2000s, started to get more and more, now everyone knows, thanks to the social media guys out there, like, everyone's educated. I think the same thing's gonna happen with commercial, and we're kind of on that first wave where, we can get the information out there that a commercial inspector has enough competence to protect your investment instead of paying, all of these trades guys and GCs and architects. There's still a place for those people. But a lot of information can be obtained just through a commercial inspector. And I think as the word spreads, it's going to become a common practice, just like residential. It's just bigger fish, and I just see it becoming, a normal part of the transaction, where maybe it wasn't so much a normal part of the transaction before.
I love hearing that. Your mouth to the world's ears. Um, I'm looking forward, Shawn, to living vicariously through you. I don't have the patience to create social media stuff. I don't have the discipline. I know that. I'm looking forward to seeing what you're creating. And on top of that, I'm looking forward to seeing what you just said come to fruition.
Yeah, and I'm even gonna, I know there's different platforms for different people too. So it might not be, obviously I'm not gonna find commercial real estate agents on TikTok. The people that I find on TikTok that are buying homes, that's the place for that. Maybe LinkedIn, I think. I just started dipping my toes over there because there's a bunch of investors over there. All the real estate agents are over there. And I've made some, I mean, I literally just created my LinkedIn account like 2 weeks ago, and I'm already making connections. So the content will look.
Well, I will say this, that every one of those TikTok viewers works someplace, buys something, and owns
Mhm.
something. And so the larger the breadth you have, the better the content is. I think it's only gonna be, upward. Um, do you have you know, let me ask you one more question. What was your biggest surprise as you've in this change of the word "and" to the "it's going to be something in my life"? As a result of everything you've now known or learned, what has been your biggest surprise?
The biggest surprise for me is that, and so the way my brain is always working, I have so many irons in the fire all the time. I'm not someone who could be a 30-year home inspector. Once I got my company established, I want to hire inspectors. I want to grow my business. And now I'm like, okay, let me get into mold. Should I get into mold remediation? I got my mold remediation license. And then I'm like, should I become an agent? Like, my brain's always going in a million ways. I never considered commercial being one of those businesses that I can go after. And after the CCPIA course in California, my brain understood this isn't an and that I put on my home inspector website. This is a new domain, new uniforms, like new standards that I follow, new customer base. And now I can go anywhere in the country and do this. Like, I have been driving my wife nuts because once I get this excited about something, I could see the path. Now my brain is locked in, and this has been my brain ever since I left California nonstop. I've already made my shirts. I bought one of those presses where you can make shirts. I've already made my shirts. I've already got my Preston's making my website right now. I'm looking at different softwares. Like, I mean, it was like full speed, 100%, because now this is a tangible business. I went I the next day that I got back from California, I filled out a DBA in the state of Florida and locked down my name and ordered my business card. So that was my biggest surprise. I went to your class thinking I might learn a few things, and I'm gonna make some videos. And that was it. I didn't realize it was gonna completely change the way that I perceive my own business and get me so excited. I did not expect that.
You go. I'm looking forward. Like I say, I'm looking forward to watching it. I'm ever so proud to be a small portion of that journey. Uh, Thank you so much, Shawn, for taking some time. I know we had a little bit of stress getting you here, and it's I'm just happy that we got to spend the last bit of time together, and know that myself and the entire team with the CCPA is in your corner to see you do that next step.
Awesome. I appreciate everything that you guys are doing, and I love what you guys are building, and knowing that you have that resource constantly there, the forums, the other members, you, it makes it a lot less scary to jump onto these huge commercial jobs.
You betcha, Shawn. We'll talk to
Yes,
you
sir. Have
soon.
a good one.